Hi. So today we are going to be doing the last. We actually came to the final sign of this series, the archetypical energy alternative. Alternative. I'm saying alternative because we really don't hear about this archetypical energy anywhere, at least not on the internet or YouTube. So obviously, so this is not something mainstream. This energy that I'm talking about, we don't really see energy in that way yet. Um, Maybe we do, but it's not popular yet. So that's why I'm calling it alternative. So it's like a alternative archetypical energy of each zodiac sign. That's the whole series that I have done, and today we are doing the last sign of the zodiac wheel, which is Aries. If you're new to this series, obviously this is kind of like last Aries cannot be. Aries is always everywhere. Aries begins the cycle, but um the you know what the knowledge that I'm following here, the knowledge that have accumulated over the years, and different school of thoughts. So this school of thoughts, they think, and I feel this resonates with me 100% over everything, every other way of understanding astrology. This really resonates with me in a very truest way. So, and it says that as per this is like the zodiac wheel begins with Pisces and ends with Aries. But but there is no beginning and end because it's a cycle. So it's like a continuous regenerative energy is involved. So there is no clear cut. Okay, this is end, this is beginning. But that's the way Pisces is in this series. Pisces begins the energy wheel, and Aries kind of put it together. So, what is Aries energy? Let's talk about that. What is it? So, Aries energy is a combination of the energy of shepherd and energy of a warrior. So that's why the symbol of Aries is represented by a ram. Ram is the in a ancient culture when there was like mostly based on agriculture, and nomadic agricultural way of living. That time, the ram represent the leader of the group, the leader of the flock, leader of the. That's why ram is representation of a shepherd. That's why Aries in a mythical and ancient documentation of Aries archetype. That's why it's represented by ram, because ram always represented a ram always you know equals this image of a shepherd. But Aries is more than that. Aries is not just shepherd, Aries is also a warrior. So what, okay, so let's get into these two words, shepherd and warrior. And not only just any type of warrior, we are going to go very deep into that warrior thing. But it's not just any kind of warrior, it's a wild, wise warrior. So shepherd is someone who takes care of others, takes, obviously they lead them, but also they are, shepherd is responsible for their flock of sheep or whatever. So shepherd is a person, is the energy that take cares of others, that guide others, not really guide others, but they allow, they shepherd create a space. In the old, every time we see shepherd, and the image that comes with it's like the it's like a valley or the meadow or something, and there's all these lambs, all these sheep are just roaming around and gazing and really having their full space to be. That's what shepherd is. Shepherd doesn't control their people. Shepherd is a person or energy who can create a space where all their people can coexist and be completely in a full freedom way, and they take care of them, they nurture them, and they that's what shepherd is. And when it comes to warrior, Aries is also very protective of that space. So it's shepherd at the same time. If any force, whether it's a natural force or it's a man-made, human-made force try to intervene and try to take away that individual space that shepherd has created for all these shapes or lambs or the people, they Aries is protective of that. Aries energy is a protector of that space, so it's not just creating space, but it's also responsible to protect that space so that everybody within that space can hold their individual freedom and space. That should not be taken away from them. So Aries fight for that. Please remember what kind of warrior is Aries. Is that is everything about Aryan, Martian Aryan energy. So this is and when I was doing research, I was also noted down some pointers. So this is what I have written. What is Aries energy? Aries is a combination of energy, a shepherd and a wild warrior, brave, visionary, and most importantly, kind and wise. The main purpose of Aries archetype is to learn from nature how to control natural forces. So, in the beginning of this series, when you talked about Capricorn, when you talked about Aquarius, anything before the manifested energy starts, which is Libra, people, every energy is consumed by this fact that how to control nature, how to control natural force, so that because it all came from the death drive, because they cannot control the natural disaster, they cannot control this and that, and every time the human felt very very helpless, very very helpless, and they tried to create their own world. That's why many times we will hear this man versus nature, which is like total ridiculous and ludicrous, because there is no difference between man and nature. The moment but those energy, primal fear creates that separation in order to create a bubble of existence of man. And when I say man, obviously every human being, but this is just like man versus nature, just like a you know I don't know. It's like expression. But anyway, it's not a gender based. Maybe we should say human versus expression. But human is anyway. So that's kind of stops that limiting fear based feeling kind of start to take a different shape from Libra when the manifested energy begins their roll and starts rolling. But in anyway, so this Aries is like they really understands how to manipulate. This manipulation is a big thing, and manipulation, the way we understand manipulation is always negative, but here it's always like how to dance with the energy around you and create a third energy of existence that surpasses the reductiveness of a limitation of nature, that we think that nature is imposed on us. So that's a different kind of which we truly understood in Taurus. If you really want to know about it, please go ahead and check that video. It's really really intriguing information there. So anyway, so the main purpose of Aries archetype is to learn from nature how to control natural forces and use that wisdom and use that wisdom for healing. So when Aries is learning how to control, how to manipulate this energy, and make, not just manipulating for feeling content, but taking that wisdom and really turning into a path, so that that new path is created. So because Aries is ruled by Mars, is all about action, is all about manifested action. So in a many books, many people, many like really like kind of wise people, they, the kind of group of people that they identify with Aryan energy is like Native American, then any kind of tribal groups. What tribal groups does, or if you think about Native American, what they do, they really understand nature. I know, there is like a long history of not understanding them and calling them savages and this and that, all these old tastes that we have uh, learned from history, and maybe not learned from history, but now we are digging in and learning that how they have been treated by so-called civilized people, like savage and this and that, but they are not, they really in tune with nature, and they understand natural forces. That's why they can manipulate the natural forces and create a new path of existence, which is not limited by this reductive idea of nature imposing limitation on human being. So that is really the core of Aries archetype. So next point is, what is the foundation, like how Aries is building this energy archetype, like what is the foundation of this energy archetype. So this foundation of inner Aries air energy archetype is isolation, is being an like on its own, and being pariah, outcast, being thrown away by unjust behavior of others. That is the foundation that Aries is emerging from. So in the Greek mythology, the Roman god Mars, you know, it's a very young energy. They did not, it did not even get a place in pantheon until very late, because people are, what Roman god Mars was proposing, this place for everyone, which was going against with the god of pantheon, which is Jupiter. Well, I'm gonna talk about all these different fire signs, because Jupiter, Sagittarius, the first fire sign, is ruled by Jupiter. So this Jupiterian law and monotheism, all this gonna come later. I'm going to talk about this later. So Aries did not, so Aries, the Roman god Mars, their idea was not accepted by the pantheon on the other gods, so they just did not allow Aries Mars to be a part of their group. So Mars was really like thrown away into the wild, and they have to figure out how to survive on their own. There was nobody to feed them or guide them. Oh, this is the path craved by our older generation, our ancestors, so come and walk on this path. No, Aries did not find that comfort. Aries did not find that sense of community to begin with. So Aries, what Aries found in itself an outcast, a pariah, who lived a life of solitariness, life of isolation, in order to really understand nature, in order so that it can combat, it can manipulate, it can become this warrior of any kind of opposition or threat that it may face on their journey of survival. So that's what so the foundation of its knowledge is Aries is a wild heart, non-conformity, and the ability to survive by itself in the new chosen path. So whenever the Aries is, Aries are, we always hear that in a popular culture, the Aries is the one who always take the bold action, first person to do. But more than first person to do, but do what? If we are, like if Aries is constantly following the path of uh, established path, then that's not Aries energy. Aries energy is the being completely new to its own idea. Aries wants to be totally unapologetically itself, this autonomy of self independence. And in order to maintain that, it there is no other way to maintain and exist like that without creating a path of its own. So that's why whenever the Aries Mars and Aries comes to the discussion, it's the path. It's not about doing very high speed way or being the first in race. It's not about race. Aries doesn't do race. That's the misconception we have in our popular culture, that Aries, Aries, we say, oh, that Aries always want to win. Aries doesn't care. Aries energy does not care about winning, losing. It's way beyond, way far above all this duality and competition. Aries just wants to be itself. And Aries also protector of this space of autonomy, of self independence. So whosoever trying to um, destroy that space, Aries will fight. So that's what Aries energy, the foundation. Like through its solitary journey, it acquires all the natural old wisdom and feel responsible to introduce this acquired knowledge back to the society. That's why it's ruled by Mars. It's ruled by the god of action. So Aries is not a energy that just learn and not share. Aries is not about self-preservation by not sharing energy. Aries is a self-preservation by diluting the energy. Aries is the self-preservation by incorporating others into this pool of energy. That's what Aries is. Aries is, in popular culture, the way Aries is always represented or understood is like this selfish, self-centered, this and that, low vibrational energy. But that's not, Aries is I don't know how we became so obsessed with this association, the selfish and self-centered and highly competitive persons are associated with Aries energy. It really has nothing to do with Aries energy at all. So now we have another question, that Aries is ruled by Mars, and in our in ancient astrology, Scorpio used to be ruled by Mars as well. So what is the difference between, so later on Scorpio was given two ruler, which is Scorpio is now ruled by Mars and Pluto. So here is I'm bringing these differences because this will highlight the archetypical energy of Aries in a more profound and more in-depth way. So why, if we really ask this question, like why all of a sudden the people or this astrologer, all these sages thought that no, Scorpio cannot be just ruled by Mars, it has to have Pluto in it, because they realized that there is a fundamental differences that is happening between Aries and Scorpio. And what is the fundamental difference? There is like a two fundamental difference, which is actually comes to one. First, the absence of primal fear. Scorpio rule driven by the primal fear of not accepting death, or in other words, the primal fear of the death of nature. Because of that fear, Scorpio induces death to get an experience of death, so that we get away from this experience of death, so that we can respect more nature. um so that's the one difference between Aries and Scorpio, because Aries is not driven by any kind of primal fear. If you have been following this series, you know that manifested energy starts in Libra. Since Libra, the primal fear takes the backstage of our existence, and the manifested primal fear, not just fear, but any kind of primal energy takes the backstage of our existence, and manifested energy takes the driver's seat. So in Aries, is there is a distinction between, because Aries is not driven by this primal energy. Aries is driven by manifested energy. That's why his wisdom is, oh, I'm gonna come to that. That's why Sun exalted in Aries, because of the wisdom. We're gonna go to that, but let's talk about this. Okay, so that's the first difference between Scorpio and Aries. And the second difference of Scorpio and Aries is that Scorpio, when Scorpio was ruled by Mars, right? But the Scorpio also want to defeat people who does not respect nature. And Scorpio defeats them by introducing death into it, so that they can get the taste of death, so that they understand the consequences of not respecting nature, not understanding nature, not syncing with nature. So it's like a reverse psychology Scorpio applies in order to rectify people. But this is the another thing that Scorpio has. Scorpio energy believes in good and evil. Scorpio energy believes that it's everybody has to sync with one rule, and that, as per Scorpio rule, is like, if you are not syncing with nature, then you must die. But Aries also want to fight for this space, but Aries want to fight for everybody. Aries doesn't think that, okay, Aries doesn't, like when the actual, like in mythological context, when the war happened, so, Scorpio used to take away, not just defeated its opponents, but defeated everybody that does not bow down to Scorpio's ideology. So Scorpio not just defeating opposition, Scorpio is eliminating anybody who is not in Scorpio's side. But Aries doesn't want to do that. Aries doesn't believe in opposition. Aries just, do not destroy the space of individual autonomy. If you are destroying the individual autonomy, I will fight. But I will not fight and take away someone's space just because they are not on my side. They can be in their own way, and that's right and just. I'm not going to interfere as long as this common space of individual autonomy is not interrupted, is not damaged, or is not taken away. So that's why when that but Scorpio needed to do that. Scorpio needed to introduce this death. So that's why Scorpio later on also get the co-ruler, which is Pluto. Pluto is the god of underworld. Pluto is the god of death, and god of, all this dark magic, to really motivate people to see the value of nature, see the value of nature. So but Scorpio, had to go through that cutthroat approach, because without that there would not be the birth of Libra. Without Scorpio, without that the massacre, without that the blood bloodbath, there will be no manifested energy of unity that begins in Libra. So anyway, so every sign has its own importance. So that's the difference between Scorpionic Mars and Arian Mars. I just wanted to point that out very much. So so now I talked about that Aries wants to fight for just wars. So what is just wars? What is just? So it's very interesting and complex idea of justice, because what, if we are looking for if you're looking at justice from a point of view of individual morality, then justice really doesn't exist, because what is right for one person can be completely wrong for another person. It's depending on which morality point of view we're looking at a situation. So that's why Aries wants to fight for just. So, and that's why Aries introduces this. Aries not introduces that. Okay, oh, there's so many things that can be correlated, but it's all coming to my mind like tick tick tick. I'm like, okay. So one by one, later on, we also need to compare. Like Aries is also the opposite polar axis of Libra. So Libra is justice. So how this correlates, but we are coming to that. But before, let's talk about what is just wars for Aries. So just wars for Aries is symbolize plurality, symbolize multi. There is no one way, there is no right and wrong, there is no good and evil, there is no dark and light. If everything, because we have to understand that Aries is the, in this cycle, Aries kind of concluding this whole cycle growth from this, which begins in Pisces. So Aries comes under Gemini and Taurus, and Gemini and Taurus, as we have discussed earlier, is highly focused is on transcendenting duality and getting into the concept of unity. In the concept of unity, there is no duality that you are good, I am bad, I am right, you are wrong. Those kind of things doesn't exist. The thing is that is all energy. The way we are looking at things, that's our individual prerogative, that's our subjective interpretation of an energy. We project that onto that energy itself does not hold that duality. There is no such thing bad energy, good energy. It's like what is bad for you may be good for others. It's a all subjective idea, what is bad and good. So all these dualities created on the base of subjective experiences. But in a acute knowledge, in a ideal, in a ideal scenario, there is no duality. And even in the not in ideal scenario, how to surpasses the duality, we talked heavily in Gemini and Taurus, right? So Aries comes after all this. So they for them, it's Aries doesn't hold those kind of duality. For Aries, everything is unified. And how to unify? Only way for Aries to unify is like, so that like if everybody has a space to be themselves. If we create a society, a civilization where everybody has their space to be themselves without being judged, without being forced to conformity, without being I don't know, persuade to follow some kind of religion or ideology. If everybody can have that space and freedom and knowledge and wisdom to create their own reality as per their own lived experience, then then there is no separation imposed by or separated by morality choices, like, okay, this is moral, this is not, this is not. So so Aries believes in that space, autonomy, like space for individual autonomy. And whenever that space is threatened, and how this space is threatened, like, let's say Aries never talks about, okay, everybody needs to be following Christianity. I'm just giving a random example. Or everybody needs to follow, paganism or this spirituality. Aries has no agenda of telling everybody what to do, because Aries doesn't believe in telling other people what to do. All Aries is wanting that if I want to follow Christianity, if I want to follow the spirituality, if I want to follow Satanism, if I want to follow I don't know, vampirism, if I want to follow whatever it is for me, if it works for me, I should have a space to exercise that. And if somebody, if that space is threatened, like if a vampirism is say trying to populate this ideology, this vampirism is the ultimate way to liberate or whatever, then other existence are fighting to exist, they're finding their, their back is at the corner of the wall, that Aries cannot tolerate. So this is the only time the warrior side of Aries comes out. Aries doesn't fight for, oh, I am the good one, you are the bad one. Aries, there is no the fight. The Martian fight is never about good and bad. This all this thing that we see in our popular idea culture, that everywhere the villain is fighting, the hero gonna, hero villain dichotomy, duality, then this. Good versus evil duality, this god and demon duality, those are not even Martian energy. Martian energy does not believe in duality. It talks about unity. And in unity, every individual has its own world, so there is no separation. But so that's why Aries fights. So okay, anyway, so the Aries fights for that kind of war. Aries consider fighting for that war which tries to take away this space of autonomous independence, individual autonomy. So I just put this note, I'm just going to read it out, just in case you go get more some information from my notes. So it was Mars who unified the Roman land. Okay, yeah, so it was Mars who unified, nobody else. And Mars is the youngest leader of entire pantheon, but the Mars was only person who was able to unify the Roman land, because it really understands that you cannot unify in any other way other than giving that space for everybody to exist. You cannot confirm other people, you cannot try to change other people, you need to give people space to be themselves. If that space is given, then unity is inevitable. So it was Mars who unified the Roman land. What is just war? In a just society, everybody has their place, everybody has their own rights of individual independence. Nobody is judged by Sagittarian morality, like Jupiterian morality, but the power of autonomy. Just war takes place when autonomy of beings in interfered and challenged. Just war takes place when one idea or group of people, or on one religion, tries to take away this individual autonomy. Just war is not between good and evil, because just warrior believes in unity of energy. Just war takes place when this unity of energy is provoked to be dual and creates separation between right and wrong, good and evil, dark and light. Pretty much what I just said. I just read it out. So that brings me to my next section of this discussion, which is why Sun is exalted in Aries. Leo is ruled by Sun, and then Aries is exalted. Sun is exalted in Aries. So this is a very good flow, as we are going to talk about other three fire sign. So Sun is all about wisdom. Sun really, like, it's not about right and wrong. It's never about teaching. It's never about, oh, I'm going to teach you the lesson. When many people say, oh, when the sun comes, that you will be punished. Now in the dark you are hiding, but when the sun comes you will be punished. But sun is not about punishment. Sun is not about telling you, oh, you are doing the right thing, I'm doing the wrong thing. Sun is not about that. Sun is the essence of wisdom, and in the essence of wisdom, everything has its place. Even the thing that we think that the most brutal and violent in the world, like just think about it, if those things are not there, there will be no motivation to do something that surpasses that darkness, that surpasses that brutality, that surpasses that violence. We are, if we follow this series, you will really know that we are a combination of primal energy. And when that primal energy takes care, like, or dominate us, we are prone to fear. And in the realm of fear, we do a lot of things that doesn't make sense in the manifested world. But those without primal energy, manifested energy cannot be existed. Without primal energy, manifested energy will never be begin with born. So even the things that we think that more, it should not exist in the world, it existed so that other things can exist out of it, so that other thing can surpass its existence and begin its own existence. So it's a very that's why sun is the, sun is that kind of wisdom. Sun is not sun is, sun itself, the please go ahead and check the Leo sign, because that's where I really talk about the archetypical energy of sun. What is sun? Sun really does not produce any kind of life in it, by itself, because sun cannot, because it's so hot, it's so powerful that no life can survive in sun. So what sun does, sun really doesn't do anything for itself. Sun project that power so that everywhere else, whosoever comes near to sun, can germinate that life which sun cannot produce by itself on its own. So that's exactly the Aries archetype. Aries is so wise, it's like so much power of wisdom, so much power of natural knowledge, so much power of nature, and the whole world, like wisdom of cosmos, which, because it's a last, is the culminative energy, is wrapping up the cycle. So it embodies all this knowledge that we have gone through since Pisces. So it is very, very powerful. It is like a bursting with energy. But Aries cannot just do things like Aries. That's why Aries, the purpose of Aries is not to become hero by doing something for itself. It can only become powerful like sun when it heals others. And how it heals others, how it germinates life, by just being. Aries just want to be, and only time Aries fight when there is a just war comes in. And Aries just, way of living, introducing a way of living. And by introducing that way of living, it's creating this regenerative power of living, regenerative power of life itself, and it heals people. So nobody talks about it. We always say that healers, Pisces are heavy healer, Scorpios are heavy healer, Virgos are healers, but Aries is the master of healing. It's like, but it doesn't heal like by preaching. It heals by being, just being and doing its own thing. Like sun doesn't change for anybody. It has a, it is not even doing anything, because it has so much power. It just being in the sky, it power just goes in the cosmos. And this power of light, power of warmth, creates the life around, and that creates a whole ecological system. But sun itself, it's very just very standard, very solid, and I'm just there. That's the Aries energy. That's why sun is exalted in Aries. Sun feels like, oh my god, this energy fits me perfectly. I can shine the best, I can hold my power the optimum level in this archetypical energy of Aries. So as I was talking earlier, that I want to touch upon a Libra also, because Libra and Aries is the polar opposite of the zodiac axis. So Libra is all about justice, right? Libra, Libra, the unity, the concept of unity begins in Libra, because the manifested energy begins in Libra. So what Libra is like really think about, it is like there is no separation between self and other. We cannot be self without accepting others, and we cannot be others without accepting self. If it sound confusing, please go ahead and check that video. There is a lot of good knowledge. This seriously like eye-opening knowledge that I have found, and that's why I did this series, so that I can share with you guys. So and they so what so anyway, so I was talking about that Libra is the concept of unity begins, right? And then, after Libra, so many signs, uh, we got Virgo, and then Leo, and Cancer, and Gemini, and Taurus. That unity concept gets started to get more solidified, more concretized, more manifested, more manifested into our 3D reality. So in Aries, when it comes to Aries, so that's why Aries fights for unity. Aries doesn't fight for separation. Aries doesn't fight for self. Aries, the self, that the way we understand self, ego-based self, Aries doesn't fight for that, because doesn't even understand that concept. Because it's so far ahead in the manifestation cycle that it doesn't really understand ego-based concept of self. It understands this unity of selves. We all are a tiny self world of selves, and how to create or the only way to bring unity is just to create a space where all this tiny world of self can coexist. We don't have to alter this tiny world of self into something else in order to bring unity, so that everybody looks like singular. No, let them be as diverse, as different, as long as this individual space of world of self is protected, then the unity can be achieved. So the Aries is fighting for what Libra has manifested in their mental realm, what Libra has manifested in their intellectual realm. Aries is, that's why Aries is bringing that. Aries is seeing that vision that Libra has seen, and bringing that in a material world through Martian manifested actions. Okay, so now let's get into the last section of this discussion, which is how fire energy developed from Sagittarius to Aries. We already have a little bit of idea. Here I kind of mentioned here and there. So Sagittarius is like Sagittarius house. So we have to understand one thing: every sign in zodiac wheel wants to bring people together. There is no person, no energy wants separation. Whether it's a primal energy driven sign like from Aquarius to Scorpio, or it's a manifested driven sign like Libra to Aries, everybody wants to bring people together. And when I say people, it can be cosmos, it can be just bringing together. That's the main concept of astrology. If you don't know anything about astrology, know this one thing: that astrology doesn't talk about separation. Astrology doesn't talk about good, bad, evil. Astrology doesn't talk about one is better than other. Astrology doesn't talk about superiority, inferiority. Astrology doesn't talk about competition. Astrology doesn't talk about who is best, who is worst. If astrology talks about anything, astrology talks about bringing people together. So Sagittarius, how Sagittarius wanted to bring people together. Sagittarius ruled by Jupiterian, the god of the leader of pantheon god group anyway. So so they Sagittarius wanted to bring people together by creating a singular ideology. That's why Sagittarius is represented by religion mostly, because they wanted to create a knowledge that is accepted by everyone, that is the ultimate truth. So if there is a common thought in everybody's mind, then everybody is connected. That's called monotheism. But we know that it doesn't work, and it did not work for Sagittarius also. So that's why we have to move on from Sagittarius. But there we take all this knowledge, all this upgrade, and create something. So it's not that Aries is created everything. Aries is the culmination of all this knowledge. Everybody contributed equally. So after Sagittarius comes to Leo. What Leo does? Leo is all about total power of being self. And this self is the ultimate union of duality within self. It's like a total acceptance of oneself. Whether dark side, shadow side, light side, this side, that side, all sides. It's the acceptance of all sides happens in the form of Leo. It's like a total essence of being. Is the holistic wholeness of being. That's what Leo is. And this knowledge, this Aries take this knowledge, because that is the ultimate core of Aries also. But Aries, it takes this knowledge, wisdom of being, and then it tries to create a new path how to manifest this knowledge of total being, wholeness, holistic whole being, into a material world, in a way so that everybody can get that realization of what it means to be, what it means to be self. So when it comes to Aries, what Aries does, taking on that wisdom of being self and seeing everybody else in their total power of being self, and uniting them on a material plane. Aries who represent the finality of manifestation, which began with Libra. A civilization of unity, of harmony, a social place where everybody has their space, nobody is cheated, nobody is judged, but understood through wisdom and love. By doing, by combining all manifested energies, since Libra sign, Aries creates a junction point of death and birth. It facilitates the death of duality in a material manifested action and give birth to a new way of being into an abyss of creativity, which created by Pisces, as we know. And this regenerative power of death and birth is eternal alive. It's not that one Aries is established path, then that's the path. No, then it's like self-defeating. Aries never want that, okay, follow my path. You will never see fully matured Aryan energy is talking about this. There is only one rule, this is my rule, follow me. If somebody is saying that, you have to take my word, you have to consider that Aryan energy is not matured, it's not wise enough, it's still in the growth of getting wise. So because Aryan energy is the regenerative power of death and birth, it's, and this cycle is constantly alive. This manifested new path is never just fixed and final. It's introduced again and again as time, space, culture, nature goes through evolution. Nothing is constant. We cannot even, like we know that, right, that earth has a earth vibration, right, frequency. Earth frequency has changed. It increased from 9 point something to now 11, vibrating at 11. And that's why we are seeing that change on a 3D level also. I don't know whether you heard of it or whether you were sync with this knowledge. It's like a new earth formation. The whole vibration is changing. The earth, nothing is dead in this cosmos. Nothing is dead. Everything is alive, everything is vibrating. As long as they are vibrating, as long they are alive, things gonna shift. Nothing is permanent. Things gonna shift, and we have to shift with them, because we are a part of nature. We are nature. We are shifting. We are not same how we were yesterday. We are not same how we were 5 minutes ago. But we don't see those minute changes because it's happening in such a cellular level. But we see in a retrospective, when you see our life as a movie, passing through in front of our eyes. Then we see, oh, see how it progressed, or not progressed, like how it changed. There is no linear progression. It's a cyclic order of coming back and going out, coming back and going out, death and birth. So that's why, introduce again and again, and time, space, and culture and nature goes through this evolution. So this is how I'm gonna end this series. I'm really proud that I did this. Um, Thanks universe to really motivate me to do this, because there's so much of knowledge that changing me every day, and I just wanted to share with you. And next I'm gonna do energy one masterclass. I'm gonna be introducing for everyone masterclass of how to get into that um, mind and space and timeline where we can really understand energy and communicate, and communicate through energy, just energy itself. I'm gonna introduce that as well very soon. So stay tuned, and thank you. Bye.